So this is a video blog, and it's going to be one of the first of many video blogs that I'm going to do for you guys. Basically, I want to be able to provide you with insight and a sort of direct personal link with me, so that you know who it is behind all the things like the social media and the website when it's up and things like that. I want you to be able to know who it is that you're connecting with, and then you know who to meet when you come to one of our events as well. So now I'm currently sat here at the moment in my pyjamas with a nice brew, no makeup on and my glasses. Now I have intended to do this blog all week, and I haven't got around to doing it yet because I thought, oh, I've got to do my makeup, I need to make sure that I look good, I look professional for you guys. And then I thought about it and I thought, do you know what, you guys are probably sat at home just like me watching this video now, in your pyjamas maybe, in front of the TV with your phone, with the brew in hand. I thought, you know what, why do I need to doll myself up to talk to you guys? And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you guys can see exactly who it is that I am, and that goes without saying is what I look like as well. So I imagine most of you guys do a lot of your work, especially if you're starting up in your pyjamas at home in the evening when the kids have gone to bed and you've done all your housework. So I want to make sure that you can relate to me. So that's why I am currently not sat here on this video blog with a nice suit on or nice clothing, full face of makeup and my hair just done. So hi! Now, what I want to talk about in this blog is the Glug Manchester event. So you guys may have seen on the page that we posted some pictures of some speakers that we saw at the event, and it was an amazing event. So I'm just going to go through the whole process of what that event was about, the sort of things that I did to prepare for that event, why I went there and what I got out of it, just so that you guys can get an insight into events and attending events, in case it's not something that you've ever approached before. So first of all then, about Glug. Now, Glug organise and run creative networking speaking evenings, so they do them across the UK, and they've actually done some in America as well, so they're quite big. Now, they consist of around 3 keynote speakers a night, and basically what they do is they share their inspiring stories of how they got to. So Glug is very much for a creative environment, so the people that were there were a lot of creative students in things like graphic design, art, fine art and things like that at university. You've got a lot of creative agencies that were there, design, advertising agencies, so they're very much based around creativity and advertising. But that's not to say that they're not beneficial. So the events are open for anyone to attend as well, and their advertisers being quite laid back affair, promoting a lot of positivity, a lot of inspiration, a lot of creative minds, mulling over new ideas. So that's basically what the Glug events are all about. So my thoughts before the event. Now, my intentions for attending this particular event included a number of factors which took some deep consideration really before attending. Now, firstly, I wanted to make sure that I knew what I wanted to gain from the event. So there's no point in going to a networking event and not really knowing what you want to get from it, because if you don't know what you want to get from it, it's probably not beneficial to go. So that's the first thing. I knew that I wanted to practice my networking and communication skills, so I'm one of those people that thinks practice, practice and practice again. You can never get too much of it. Now, I had to think about anything that I thought I needed to work on. Now, I'm aware that I sometimes can't stop talking, as you can see. But what I tend to do when I'm nervous is I start chatting away too much to somebody, and I can't stop myself from doing that. Now, a lot of the time that's because I'm very passionate, very enthusiastic, and I struggle to just sometimes take that step back and listen to the other person that I'm actually speaking to. So being aware of things like that I'm not so good at, then allows me to work on those things and be conscious of them when I am speaking to somebody else. And obviously that then allows me to become a better networker. Now, this got me thinking about the most successful way that you can communicate at events. So what does that look like? Now, this led me to a book called Never Eat Alone, Other Secrets to Success, One Relationship at a Time by Keith Ferrazzi and Tal Raz, and this is the book. Now, Never Eat Alone, it doesn't really sound like anything to do with sort of networking events, but believe me, it's a very, very good book, and it's a bestseller in the New York Times as well, so it's really good so far, what I've read of it. Now, in the book there is a chapter on the art of small talk, and what it does is it discusses the initial fear of walking into a room full of strangers and having nothing to say. So I imagine that most of us have been there at some point. I'm there every time I go to an event and I think, oh God, who can I connect with in this room? Who is going to be like-minded with me? Who's going to be interested in me? So all those thoughts run through my mind every time I attend an event. So sometimes what I tend to do is then turn that fear into an overexcited 100-mile-an-hour talking mess, which nobody wants to listen to. So the advice they give us is to just be yourself, and that many people will actually try and follow small talk experts' advice and rules, which basically constitutes as the most boring chit chat you will ever come across. So those blasé, run-of-the-mill, networking, small talk conversations that have no value whatsoever, they're those ones. That basically. So now they have a good point. So for me personally, I've thought about it and I thought what I want to do is I want to actually get to know somebody when I meet them for the first time. I want to find out what they do, what they're passionate about, and if I've got anything in common with them. And it's likely that the people or person that you're actually speaking to feels the same or similar. You know, at the end of the day, we all go to these networking events with different reasons, but there is one central reason, and that is to communicate with other people and find out about other people. So instead of, I suppose for me, sitting there and thinking, oh God, I hope I don't step up and mess up talking to somebody at one of these events, and actually think they're just a human being just as much as I am, and they probably just want to talk just like I want to talk. So that put me at ease a little bit more. And I suppose the best way to put it is we can't truly find out about somebody if we're too busy solely talking about ourselves as well. So for me, again, it's that consciousness of you know, listening to what that other person is saying. Not to say that I don't listen to people, but being aware of my surroundings and the way in which that I communicate obviously will make sure that I'm better at communicating. So the other thing is, if we only ever make meaningless small talk with strangers, we're gonna remain strangers. At the end of the day, we're not gonna create friendships and connections with people that last for a long time with everyone we meet if we don't create value added small talk. That's not to say that we're meant to get on with everybody. At the end of the day, there are people that we might not connect very well with, and you know, that's life at the end of the day. But the other side of that is that we can learn a lot from people that we actually don't see eye to eye with. So it's kind of that both sides of the coin. You can also get a lot of value added from somebody that you may not necessarily agree with, and it's learning to have those conversations with those individuals. Now, what I then wanted to do after thinking about all of this is make sure that I knew who was actually attending. So they always say to do your research, so that's what I did. Now, I wanted to see which speaker for me at this particular event would be most beneficial for me to talk to. So the lineup for this event included an award-winning photographer called Owen Harvey, a graphic designer, lettering artist and typographer called Craig Black, and the ever so lovely Olivia Downing, who is an award-winning creative copywriter and the founder of Chicks in Advertising. So my first thoughts of this lineup was that I most definitely want to take something from each of these speakers. Being in a creative environment myself, being a graphic designer, this was a perfect event for me, but I also wanted to focus particularly on connecting with Olivia Downing, so I looked into her a little bit more. I took my research a little bit further. Now, I had a look at Chicks in Advertising, and they are a support connection network for women in specifically in advertising. Now, Olivia Downing saw a massive gap in the ratio of women to men in the advertising industry and decided to actually do something about it. Now, straight away I'm thinking to myself, this is a lady that I could potentially connect with. I have a genuine interest in what it is that she's doing and that she's trying to achieve, and I just basically couldn't wait to hear her speak. But having that research in the background of my mind and knowing what this woman was potentially about made it all that more interesting at the event. So before I got to the event, I did a bit of pre-event prep. Now, I've just sat here earlier and talked to you about the fact that I'm sat here with no makeup on and I'm not done up. However, in these environments, obviously at the end of the day, I can do that in this environment, but at a networking event, the way in which you speak to somebody is as important as the way you look, in terms of looking professional. It depends very much so on the clientele and the people that you're wanting to connect with. So, understanding that I wanted to impress people and for them to talk to me seriously as a professional, but noting that this event was also quite chilled, laid back, it was a creative vibe to it. I decided to dress smart casual. Now, it is important to wear something that you're comfortable in as well. At the end of the day, you don't want to be stood there in 6-inch heels, and it's a stand-up event and you're stood up for 2 hours, because at the end of the day, you're going to be focusing more on your feet than you are with the person that you're connecting with. So it is important to do your research in terms of these things, like making sure that you're in a comfortable version of you. So I went in just a nice, comfortable dress, some reasonably low, nice boots, and obviously I did my makeup and my hair, but it wasn't done to the point where it's something I'm really uncomfortable with and I'm thinking, do I look too overdone or anything like that. It was just nice, it was just professional. It's probably the way I would probably dress in an office. So I was then not conscious of the fact that I was worried about the way people saw me, because I felt comfortable. Now, I also prepared some business cards to take with me. Now, I didn't want to be one of those people that pushes a business card into everybody's hand, but what I did want to do is make sure that those people that I did connect with, I was able to provide them with some form of follow-up contact information, because at the end of the day, you'll lose that value if you then can't follow up that connection further. So I wanted to make sure that I covered that base. So moving on to the actual event. So on entering the event, I first scouted the room. So I had a look around as I walked in, walked towards the bar, we got a free drink, woohoo. And what that actually allowed me to do was to take in the atmosphere of the room, have a look around, see what types of people and groups were in the room, who was talking to who, were the drinks flowing, that kind of thing. And it also allowed me to see if the people that I was actually meeting there were also there and where they were. So After getting my drink, I obviously went straight to the people that I knew, but again, after the event I thought, I wonder what I would actually do if I went to an event that I didn't know anybody at. Now, I have been to a number of events over the years, and particularly in business networking events where I haven't known anybody, and I'm quite easygoing, as you can see, and I do find it quite easy to talk to new people, but I just wondered why that it was. What was it that makes it so easy? So I did a bit of research on it again, and I came across an article by a lady called Mary Crane. Now, she explains to look out for what's called an approachable. Now, that sounds a bit like she's putting a stereotype to somebody, but basically what that is a person who's standing by themselves or on the outskirts of the room. At the end of the day, if you think about where you're stood, so if I was on my own, I would probably do the same. I would scout the room, and then I'd probably make my way to the bar. I'm then probably going to stand around the outside of the room or near the bar area, waiting to see if there was anybody that I could speak to. So it makes sense. You know, the likelihood of that approachable, as she puts it, is that they're doing the same thing that you are. They're attending the event to try and make connections with people, and they haven't brought anyone with them, which is the best way to do it, because I think if you're with somebody, you tend to stick with that person. If you're on your own, you're forced to take that leap and that step and really start connecting with people, because you've got to, otherwise you'll be standing in the corner of the room for the rest of the evening. So that also links back in with my previous point about just quite simply wanting to get to know somebody, and that fear of having nothing to say. At the end of the day, I think we have to realise that everybody is probably in a similar situation. A lot of people go to networking events to purposely network, so I think if we all remember that in the back of our minds, that actually we're just trying to make new friends, we're trying to see if there's anybody we can connect with, if we can collaborate with anybody. You know, I think we need to drop this fear and really start to pull on the full value of networking as women. And the reason why I say that is because thinking about the fact that the context of my events that I'm running are women, you ladies, you lovely lot. When we think back to the way in which men used to originally network, you're talking about things like the Roman baths, and that sort of thing, and I suppose today, I mean, this could be considered stereotypical for men, so I apologise to the men viewers right now, but you know, things like going on golfing trips and stuff like that, and Formula 1 trips and stuff, that's how the men network, and I give it to them. You know, at the end of the day, they're networking in an environment that they enjoy each other's company, and they get more value from it. So I think my idea for the way I envision the networking events going for us, and this is the way they will go. I'm telling you now, ladies, if I have to come and speak to every single one of you in the whole evening, I will do it, because I want to get to know everybody. But I think it's going to be a party, celebratory environment, and I want to make sure that, because that's what us ladies do best, you know, really celebrating each other, and I think we'll get more value out of those connections because we're genuinely enjoying each other's company at the same time as well. So that's where my passion comes from. I really want to change that women in networking sort of environment and strip it back, really. The men got it right in the first place, you know. Networking in environments where they're enjoying each other's company and they're doing something, you know, an activity that they enjoy. That's where we need to take it back. So, going back to the event. So the speakers started about an hour in. Now, most importantly, I obviously went there to listen to them, so I listened, watched their presentations, but what I also decided to do was to voice record anything that I thought was really important. Now, at these events, what tends to happen is there's that much going on that if you really connect with a speaker as they are presenting to you, you can get enthralled in what they're saying and not actually remember what's been said afterwards. So for me, I like to, if it's okay to do at that particular event, is to video record or voice record what it is that they're saying, so that I can refer back to it at a later date. Maybe it's a bit of a quote that I want to pull on or something like that for social media. Now, I say if the event permits. So when I'd obviously scouted the room when I first went in, I noticed that there was a lot of video cameras, they were taking a lot of photographs, and I was already aware that the event actually publish and post their video footage of each speaker in each event. So I knew in this instance that it would be fine for me to record that information, but there are certain events that you can go to where it's not permitted. So little tip, always worth to check. Now, what I also noted was that, again, like I said, there was a lot of photographs being taken, but also by the other people in the audience, and the first speaker had actually put up, and the event organisers, their social media handles on their screens, and this presented an opportunity to me, really, that they wanted you to share your images and photography and videos of the event and their speaking with their social media. So obviously that gives them additional exposure, that's what they want. But also by sharing your imagery and tagging these people in, as many people as you can think of, the event organisers, the venue, anybody else that you're with or representing, and then obviously the speaker themselves as well, that's additional exposure for you and your company as well. So for me, the imagery that you guys saw, if you saw it on my social media platforms last week, were live, as it were, photographs. So as I was taking them, I was posting them to the pages for you guys, and tagging, obviously, like I say, in the speakers, and it worked really, really well. Like I received direct replies, comments, and retweets from the event organisers, people that were there, and the speakers themselves as well. So I got, engagement on social media and a link between them, which is what we're all after. Now, moving on to Olivia Downing. Now, her speech, I was so inspired, and just as inspired as I thought I'd be following my research. She was funny, informative, she made some really interesting key points as well. Her talk was very much about getting lucky, or get lucky, I think the hashtag was, and not in the sense that you would think. It was more about women creating opportunities for us to get lucky. Quite like the concept, it was really good. This feeling of really being inspired by her gave me that extra additional confidence to go and speak to her directly following her speech. So the fear came in to begin with, and I thought, oh God, she might not want to speak to me, she might not have time to speak to me, how do I open that conversation, what do I say first, so all these things were running through my head, but because she came across as very, very open, very, very welcoming, inspiring, and she had very, very similar interests to me and what she's trying to do, as I mentioned earlier. I literally took the first opportunity I could to go and speak to her, and not only that, I thought, you know what, she'd be so amazing as one of our speakers at one of our events for you guys. She's really is that good, and being in a copywriting and advertising industry, she's very full of really good knowledge and wealth of knowledge about how to advertise in terms of business and stuff like that, because that's what she does, that's what she's really good at. So it's definitely worth her coming speaking to some of you guys this year. So I thought, I've got to speak to her. So when she finished the set, and the last speaker had actually finished theirs as well, because obviously I don't want to be rude and also miss that other speaker, I went over and introduced myself. Now, I kept it brief and light, following again my awareness of myself being very chitty chatty. I basically briefly told her who I was. So I told her I'd actually come with people from the Bolton University, who I think she was aware of as well, as she'd spoken to previously. I explained to her that I thought her talk was amazing, really inspirational, and as a result I'd really love to connect with her and actually discuss in more detail about her possibly coming speaking to you guys. And she absolutely loved the idea, very enthusiastic, and not only that, because I briefly explained who I was and a little bit about my background of previously running a business and being entrepreneurial and having connections with Virgin Startup, speaking for them, which I've done in the past, and Virgin Media as well. She actually offered me the opportunity to speak at one of her events about entrepreneurship and business, which I thought was amazing. That I never thought would be an opportunity to come out of speaking to her. I literally just wanted to speak to her, find out a little bit more about her, and obviously see if there was an opportunity for her to come and be a speaker at one of my events. Never did I think that I would gain something more, and that's the beauty of it. You really don't know what value you're going to gain from having a valued connection with somebody at a networking event, and this is the point that I'm trying to make with my events, is that I want to create that environment for us ladies that really want to do something different and inspiring and help others and collaborate and do really well and be successful. I want to create those environments that we can truly connect with people and not just try and sort of half-heartedly connect to people. So my experience of this Glug event basically kind of sort of cements the research and the things that people say, is that if you actually do your research about the event, the speakers, the crowd that you're going to be in, and then you prepare yourself for that event, so making sure that you've got the things that you need to take with you that are important, so business cards, that you're dressed appropriately, that you know how to communicate with the people that are going to be in the room, and that you also understand what you want to get out of that networking event, and you've got a clear idea of how you're then going to approach that. You will gain valued and new connections, along with some amazing opportunities, as shown in my example here. You know, you really don't know what can happen if we just genuinely take an interest in other people, but in the right environment. And I think that's the key. The key is it can't be forced. I think that's what I want to promote, is that natural getting to know somebody environment and feeling comfortable in that environment and genuinely enjoying each other's company. And I think that will add that additional value to the whole idea of networking. So that's sort of a little bit of insight again into the events that we're running and I'm running. So I hope you're all on board, and I hope to see you guys soon at one of our events. So I hope you enjoyed this video blog. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please be gentle with me, but all comments are welcome. I'd love to know your thoughts, any things that I can do better, anything that you want to hear about in my next vlogs. Anything at all, that would be brilliant. Now my next video blog will be coming soon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also our newsletter to receive any notifications of events in your area in the UK. Don't forget to follow us on our social media and like the video. So we're on Instagram, which is @LocalWomenInBusiness, Twitter is @LocalWomenInBiz, and obviously Local Women in Business on Facebook as well. And again, the same on YouTube as well. So like I say, I hope to see you all at one of our events. I hope you've enjoyed this evening. I hope you've got some value from tonight as well. And I'll see you on the next one.